Hey guys, this is Eckhart Slaughter. Hello and welcome to another video. So today we'll be going back to the basics of fleet discussion in Star Wars and examining one ship that the Empire should have brought over from the Galactic Republic. And as the title says, this ship, to the surprise of some I'm sure, is not the Venator. We've talked a few times about how the naval philosophies of the Empire and the Republic differed significantly. The Empire obviously built their fleets around the Star Destroyer, and as most of you know, the Star Destroyer was an extraordinarily powerful ship that was sort of thrown into a generalist role for the Empire. They used the Star Destroyers to ferry starfighters into battle, to attack enemy ships head-on, to protect capital shipyards, etc., etc. The Republic, on the other hand, relied on very specialized ships, especially the Venator, which sacrificed a lot of firepower for carrying capacity. The Venator was often supported by smaller ships like corvettes, whereas the Imperial Star Destroyers often operated on their own. That was due to the Tarkin Doctrine, the effectiveness of Star Destroyers against average threats, and the fact that Star Destroyers were often just deployed on their own, so they could be very mobile and not have to worry about supporting ships. And for more information on that, you can check out the Essential Guide to Warfare. However, the issue here was not that the Empire didn't have ships that could perform other roles, and the reason why I don't think they should have kept using the Republic's Venator is because they had their own good options. For example, we have the Secutor, which is even larger and probably has a similar fighter capacity. We also have smaller carriers like the Quasar, which I think are more practical, rather than trying to fit a full Star Destroyer-sized carrier within the Empire's existing battle groups. The same is true for corvettes and small cruisers. The Empire didn't use these ships because they didn't have a good design for them. In fact, the Empire had the Lancer, for example, which was one of the best anti-fighter gunships of all time. What am I talking about then? A ship that could fit into existing Imperial structures that the Empire didn't really have a replacement for, and that would make their navy better. Well, I think this might surprise some of you, but my answer is actually the Acclamator. Now, I do have issues with how the Republic used the Acclamator. Especially early on in the war, they relied on it too much as a warship, and in that role I don't think it was properly refitted for carrier duty frequently enough. However, the Acclamator itself can actually serve in a very specialized role that the Empire didn't fill very well, and that is an extremely heavy, well-armored troop and ground asset lander. The Empire, perhaps more than any faction in Star Wars, relied on very large mechanized vehicles and actually had the resources to engage in major ground advances. However, traditionally, they would land troops either with shuttles or, in the case of AT-ATs, specialized landing vehicles. Larger ships like Star Destroyers could not easily get to the planet's surface, and they didn't have the proper mechanisms to unload troops quickly, while smaller ships typically weren't actually geared for that purpose. Look at what the Republic did successfully at the Battle of Geonosis. It was getting a large number of troops down to the planet extremely quickly. The Acclamators were very sturdy, they had weapons, and they can easily disgorge many assets. I mean, these were some of the best military transport ships in galactic history, and they were basically responsible for mobilizing an entire clone army across the galaxy. So, Empire, start attaching Acclamators to your fleet. You can save space in your Star Destroyers. Why have AT-ATs and AT-AT landers in there anyway? Now, those ships can carry extra starfighters, and the Empire can more successfully get troops to the planet's surface. I mean, nothing is going to easily be able to destroy an Acclamator. The only real shortcoming is that there's less flexibility in troop landing, but I think you can still control for that by either adding a hangar system in the Acclamator itself, or by not fully dedicating resources to those ships. And I mean, I can think of a ton of battles where Acclamators could have been used really successfully. I mean, even at Hoth, Acclamators probably would have been able to get around the planetary shield and could have not only landed troops, but also provided fire from its large guns. The case can be said for countless ground battles in the expanded universe. Another good example, I think, would have been the assault on Luke's Jedi Praxium. It's also worth noting that the Acclamators of the Clone Wars era were fitted with very fast hyperdrives, and they could have been too during the Imperial era. That means that troops perhaps could be more centralized and could respond where necessary with the Acclamator itself probably not really needing an escort. And that's the thing, the Acclamator is no slouch in a space battle. It's not as great as a dedicated cruiser of its size, but it had fairly significant turbo laser and point defense batteries, and was very well armored. You know what else? The Empire already had a bunch of these things lying around, so just throw one into large fleets. They should be able to keep up with Star Destroyers. They won't be a huge liability in battle, and you can now land troops, I think, more effectively. So let me know what you guys think. Would the Acclamator in Imperial hands have made sense? Of course, in both canon and legends, the Empire did have Acclamators, but we don't have a whole lot of evidence of them actually using them like this. So again, let me know what you think. But before we leave, I will do a hashtag AskGat question of the day. And today's comes from Herr Mittman, who asked, do you think Palpatine had further plans for Starkiller, or did it just spur its disposable purpose like Snoke? And yeah, I think it was mostly just a tool to destabilize the New Republic. It is kind of weird to think that Palpatine had a hand in Starkiller Base, although we did see early signs of its transformation during the Galactic Civil War era, but I don't think it was meant for a greater purpose. I think Palpatine always planned the Sith Eternal to be the main tool that he would use to take over the galaxy. Just my opinion though. I'm really not sure. Interesting question. Also curious to hear what the comments think of that. Till next time though guys, this has been Eckhart's Ladder. Have a great one. Please be safe, keep to yourself, and may the Force be with you.